Hello, my dear students. Jai Swaminarayan. So, this is our part 5 of our chapter number 2 is the biological classification. Now, in previous lecture, we have studied about our kingdom fungi. Okay, and we have seen the 3 or 4 groups of fungi: phycomycetes, ascomycetes, basidiomycetes, and deuteromycetes. Okay, so as we know, this is fungi and these are the characters of fungi: eukaryotic cell present with chitin, cell wall. Okay, nuclear membrane is present because of eukaryotic. Body organization is multicellular and loose tissue are there. And mode of nutrition is heterotrophic, and the two types of heterotrophics are the saprophytic and parasitic. Now, in today's video, we will see about Plantae kingdom and Animalia kingdom, the overview of Plantae and Animalia. So, in Plantae, the cell type is eukaryotic. Cell wall is present and made up of cellulose. Cellulose is a complex sugar. Now, nuclear membrane is present because of eukaryotic, and body organization is tissue or organ. So, here what you mean by this tissue or organ? So, as we know, the cells will combine and make the tissue, and tissue will combine and make the organ. So, in plants there are tissues and organs, and mode of nutrition is autotrophic. Okay, so this is very important for the plant. They are the autotrophic, okay, and mean by the photosynthetic. Okay, so they make their own food. Okay, Atmanirbhar. So Plantae are the autotrophic. Now Animalia. So Animalia is eukaryotic, cell wall is absent here. This is the difference between plant cell and animal cell. Okay, so here cell wall is absent. Nuclear membrane is present obviously because eukaryotic, and here the body organization is tissue, organ, and organ system. Okay, as we know, for example, in humans, our organ systems, different organ systems are in the human body, like our digestive system, our reproductive system, our circulatory system. Okay, so organ will combine and make the organ system. For example, our heart. Okay, our heart will make the organ system is circulatory system. And mode of nutrition is heterotrophic. Heterotrophic, and types of heterotrophics are the holozoic and saprophytic, etc., etc. Okay, so this is about animals. Now we will discuss in detail. Okay, so kingdom Plantae. Kingdom Plantae includes the all eukaryotic chlorophyll containing organisms, commonly called as plant. Okay, so here all the cells are eukaryotic cells and chlorophyll containing. So this is very important for the plants because chlorophyll will give the green color to the plants. Okay, why plants are green? Because of this chlorophyll. A few members are partially heterotrophic. There are some partially heterotrophic also, such as insectivorous plants or parasites. Okay, bladderwort and Venus flytrap are the examples of insectivorous plants, and Cascata is the parasite. Okay, I will show you. ओके, दिस इज इंसेक्टिवरस प्लांट्स. ये प्लांट ही है लेकिन ये इंसेक्ट को खा जाएगा. ओके, दैट्स वाई कॉल्ड एज हेट्रोट्रॉपिक. एंड दिस इज एग्जांपल ऑफ कसकट्टा. ये पैरासाइट है. ओके, दिस इज इंसेक्टिवरस एंड दिस इज पैरासाइटिक. पैरासाइटिक मीनिंग वो कुछ नुकसान नहीं करेगा लेकिन उसके साथ उसके ऊपर ये जिंदा रहेगा. सो कसकट्टा. सो दिस इज द एग्जांपल्स ऑफ पैरासाइटिक एंड हेट्रोट्रॉपिक्स. ओके, नाउ द प्लांट सेल्स हैव एन यूकैरियोटिक स्ट्रक्चर with the prominent chloroplast. Okay, this is the important because chloroplast not present in animal cell. Chloroplast are always present in plant cell. Okay, that's why the green color. Now this chlorophyll is the present in chloroplast. Okay, so the plant cell have an eukaryotic structure with the prominent chloroplast and cell wall mainly made up of the cellulose. Prominent meaning perfect. Okay, there is a perfect structure in cell wall. You will study the eukaryotic cell structure in detail in our chapter number 8 of 11th biology. Now, Plantae includes the algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, and angiosperms. So guys, these are the classes of plant, mainly 5 classes: algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperm, and angiosperms. Okay, now life cycle. So life cycle of plants has the two distinct phases: the diploid saprophytic and the haploid gametophytic phase, and that alternate with the each other. Okay, life cycle meaning the period of life, and cycle meaning to circulate. मतलब एक जगह से शुरू होकर वापस वहीं पर आना, डेट इज कॉल्ड एज साइकिल. सो लाइफ साइकिल मीनिंग प्लांट के कोई एक पार्ट से शुरू होगी एंड उसी पार्ट पे आके ख़त्म होगी, तो डेट इज कॉल्ड एज लाइफ साइकिल. नाउ सो देर आर टू डिस्टिंक्ट फेजेस, द डिप्लॉयड एंड हैप्लॉयड. सो डिप्लॉयड मीनिंग द chromosome number are 2 and haploid meaning chromosome number are only single chromosome is present. So diploid called as saprophytic and haploid called as gametophytic. Okay, this is very important and we will also we will study this in chapter number 3 in detail, but here you have to remember this thing. Now the lengths of haploid and diploid phases and whether these phases are free living or dependent on the others vary among the different groups in plants. Okay, so they are the different in different organisms or in plants. So haploid and diploid phases are alternating and also the length is also vary meaning to change, vary meaning change, vary, vary meaning to change. Okay, variation like. So अलग अलग प्रजाति में प्लांट्स की अलग अलग ये हमको लेंथ और सब देखने को मिलेगा. दिस फिनोमिनन इज कॉल्ड एज अल्टरनेशन ऑफ जनरेशन. दिस इज इम्पॉर्टेंट. अल्टरनेशन ऑफ जनरेशन कैन बी सीन इन प्लांट्स. Okay, so alternation meaning changing the two generation, diploid, haploid. Okay, you will study further details of this kingdom in chapter number 3. Now our kingdom Animalia. Now this kingdom is characterized by the heterotrophic eukaryotic organism. मतलब they are eukaryotic but they are depend on another organism for their food. Okay, for example humans, animals, birds, like that. So that are multicellular and their cells lacks the cell walls. Okay, so here this is the difference between animal and plant. So cell wall is not present in animal cells. Okay, cell wall is only present in the plant cell. Okay, in comparison to plant and animals. Now they directly or indirectly depend on the plants for the food. Okay, as we know all the animals are depending on the another organism but mainly the plants for the food. Okay, directly or indirectly. Now they digest their food in an internal cavity and store the food reserve as the glycogen or fat. Okay, so internal cavity is present in animal cell, okay, in the animals. Now and they store the food as the glycogen. Glycogen is a complex sugar. So they storing food as the glycogen or fat. Fat meaning fatty acids, lipids. Okay, so this is about animal kingdom. Now more to animals kingdom is the mode of nutrition is holozoic. Now what you mean by holozoic? So holozoic meaning the ingestion of food. They follow the definite growth pattern and grow into adults that have a definite shape and size. Okay, so holozoic ingestion meaning, so holozoic का मतलब यहाँ पर ये होता है कि वो फूड को इंजेस्ट करते हैं. हम जैसे फूड लेते हैं, फूड हमारे पास ऐसा सिस्टम है. ओके, डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम. That's why this is called as holozoic. And they follow the definite growth pattern. Growth pattern भी definite होगी, complete होगी, perfect होगी. Okay, और growth as you know what about growth? Okay, so growth is only seen in the living things and grow into the adults that have definite shape and size. Okay, धीरे धीरे वो adult भी होते जाएंगे and shape size सब कुछ धीरे धीरे बनता चला जाएगा. So this is about animals. Higher forms show the elaborate sensory and neuromotor mechanism. Okay, in the higher forms of animals, for example humans. So there has to be sensory and neuromotor mechanism. Neuromotor mechanism is a part of our nervous system. So most of them are the capable of locomotion. Mostly animals can be moved from one side to another side. So that is called as locomotion, movement. The sexual reproduction is by the copulation of the male and female followed by the embryological development. Okay, so here sexual reproduction is there but the combination of male and female gametes. Okay, male gamete is different, female gamete is different. Okay, so they will combine and fertilization will occur. Then after fertilization the embryological development is there in animals. Now salient features of the various phyla are described in the chapter number 4. So in chapter number 4 we will discuss all about the animals. Now viruses, viroids, prions and lichens. So in the 5 kingdom classification we have completed our 5 kingdom classification with the class Animalia. Now there is no mention of lichens and some acellular organisms like the viruses, viroids and prions. So we will discuss all about it. Now these are the briefly introduced here. Okay, so classification में इसको बीटे करने जगह नहीं दी, लाइकेंस को, वायरसेस को, विरोइड्स को, बट वी विल डिस्कस वो आखिर कहाँ पर होते हैं. So all of us who have suffered the ill effect of the common cold or flu know what effects the viruses can have on us, even if we do not associate it with our condition. Okay, so all we know, all we are familiar with the viruses and the diseases followed by viruses. Okay, infected by the viruses. Now the flu, common cold is a example of viruses disease. Now viruses did not find a place in classification since they are not considered truly living. Okay, viruses truly living नहीं है, that's why उनको क्लासिफिकेशन में विटे करने नहीं रखा. If we understand the living as those organisms that have the cell structure, हम लिविंग उसको ही कंसिडर करते हैं जिसके पास सेल स्ट्रक्चर हो, बट इन वायरसेस देर इज नो एनी सेल स्ट्रक्चर. ओके, सो यू आर फेमिलियर विथ दिस. दिस इज द नोवेल कोरोना वायरस. ओके, द स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ कोरोना वायरस दिस इज, and this is the bacteriophage virus. Now the viruses are the non-cellular because they does not have the cellular structure, so that's why non-cellular organisms that are characterized by the having an inert crystalline structure outside the living cell. Okay, inert meaning inactive crystalline structure. वो viruses बाहर कभी एक्टिव नहीं होंगे, बट जब किसी होस्ट सेल के अंदर जाएंगे, जैसे कि ह्यूमंस के अंदर अगर वायरस आएगा तो वो एक्टिवेट हो जाएगा. वंस दे इन्फेक्ट द सेल दे टेक ओवर द मशीनरी ऑफ द होस्ट सेल. मशीनरी मीनिंग हमारे पास जो भी हमारे सेल में जो मशीनरी है वो वायरस यूज़ कर लेगा टू रेप्लिकेट देम सेल. रेप्लिकेट मीनिंग टू डबलिंग द DNA और RNA ऑफ द सेल एंड किलिंग द होस्ट. फाइनली दे किल द होस्ट सेल. वुड यू कॉल वायरस इज लिविंग और नॉन लिविंग? सो यू हैव टू थिंक अबाउट इट. Okay, viruses can be called as living or non-living. So this is the question. Now the name virus, that means venom or poisonous fluid, was given by the Dmitry Levinsky. Okay, 1892. Okay, so virus word is given by this scientist. Okay, and virus meaning the venom meaning poison meaning zahir. Recognize certain microbes as the कोजल ऑर्गेनिज्म ऑफ द मोज़ेक डिसीज ऑफ द टोबैको. उन्होंने ये सबसे पहले टोबैको के अंदर देखा था मोज़ेक डिसीज, दैट्स वाई दे कॉल्ड एज वायरसेस. ओके, सो हियर यू कैन सी दिस इज TMV, टोबैको मोज़ेक वायरस. सो दिस इज जेनेटिक मटीरियल एज RNA मीनिंग रिबोन्यूक्लिक एसिड, एंड दिस इज कैप्सिड इज मेड अप ऑफ प्रोटीन. वी विल सी द स्ट्रक्चर. नाउ these were found to be the smaller than bacteria because they pass through the bacteria proof filters. Okay, so हम बैक्टीरिया को भी हम हमारी नेकेड आइज से देख नहीं सकते. सो वायरसेस आर द स्मॉलर देन बैक्टीरिया. सो यू कैन इमेजिन व्हाट इज द साइज, व्हाट विल बी द साइज ऑफ दिस वायरसेस. सो वायरसेस आर द स्मॉलर देन बैक्टीरिया एंड बिकॉज दे पास थ्रू द बैक्टीरिया प्रूफ फिल्टर्स. मतलब बैक्टीरिया प्रूफ फिल्टर्स जो है उसमें से भी ये पास हो जाते हैं, डेट्स वाई they are the smaller than bacteria. Now M.W. Beijerinck in 1898 demonstrated that the extract of the infected plants of tobacco could cause the infection in the healthy plants and called as the fluid as Contagium vivum fluidum. Now infectious living fluid, this is called as infectious living fluid. Okay, सबसे पहले टोबैको में इन्फेक्ट हुआ था प्लांट्स. ओके, सो दिस इज द virus is Contagium vivum fluidum. So now further W.M. Stanley in 1935 showed that viruses could be crystallized and crystals consist largely of the proteins. Okay, crystallize meaning वो उनका प्रोटीन से बने होते हैं, उनका जो आउटर लेयर है, that's why they can be crystallized and crystal consist of proteins. They are inert outside their specific host. Inert meaning inactive outside their host, but they require host cell for their activation. So viruses are the obligate parasites. Obligate parasite meaning those parasite they require the host cell machinery. Okay, that's why they are obligate parasite. मतलब viruses को अंदर जाने के लिए obligate parasite meaning the compulsory parasite जो है वो कंपल्सरी वो अंदर जाएंगे तभी वो एक्टिवेट हो पाएंगे, बाहर वायरसेस एक्टिवेट नहीं हो पाएंगे. that's why called as obligate parasites. In addition to the proteins, viruses also contain the genetic material that could be either RNA or DNA. ribonucleic acid and deoxyribonucleic acid. Okay, DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, and RNA meaning ribonucleic acid. So the genetic material meaning the hereditary material, okay, from one generation to another generation. So this is the characters of viruses transferred through this genetic material. Okay, so in addition to proteins, where are proteins in viruses? In the outer layer. Okay, now no virus contains both RNA and DNA. Okay, there is no possibility that both the genetic material is present, RNA and DNA. So only one will be there. A virus is a nucleoprotein and the genetic material is the infectious. Okay, virus is called as nucleoprotein. Why? Because वो प्रोटीन आउटर लेयर है, डेट्स वाई. एंड जेनेटिक मटेरियल उसका जो है वो इन्फेक्शियस होता है. अगर उसका डीएनए, वायरस का डीएनए हमारे डीएनए के साथ आ जाएगा तो वो हमको इन्फेक्शन करेगा. In general, viruses that infect the plants have the single-stranded RNA. This is very important things, guys. जो वायरसेस प्लांट्स को इन्फेक्ट करते हैं वो जनरली कैसे होते हैं? सिंगल स्ट्रैंडेड आरएनए होते हैं. ओके, आरएनए इज अ जेनेटिक मटेरियल बट सिंगल स्ट्रैंडेड मीनिंग ओनली वन स्ट्रैंड इज देयर. एंड वायरसेस दैट इन्फेक्ट द एनिमल्स हैव द आइदर सिंगल और डबल स्ट्रैंडेड आरएनए. अगर एनिमल्स को वायरस अगर होता है तो वो सिंगल और डबल स्टैंडर्ड आरएनए भी हो सकता है एंड डबल स्टैंडर्ड डीएनए भी हो सकता है. सो गाइस टेल मी एंड थिंक अबाउट इट. जो कोरोना वायरस है उसमें कौन सा जेनेटिक मटेरियल पाया जाता है? डीएनए है, आरएनए है, सिंगल स्टैंडर्ड है या डबल स्टैंडर्ड है? ओके, सो फाइंड आउट द आंसर. ओके, यू कैन यूज़ गूगल ऑल्सो. ओके, कि कोरोना वायरस में कौन सा मटेरियल होता है जेनेटिक. ओके, नाउ बैक्टीरियल वायरसेस और बैक्टीरियोफेजिस आर द वायरसेस दैट इन्फेक्ट्स द बैक्टीरिया. ओके, बैक्टीरिया को भी वायरस इन्फेक्शन कर सकते हैं एंड कॉल्ड एज बैक्टीरियोफेजिस. आर यूजुअली द डबल स्टैंडर्ड डीएनए वायरसेस. ओके, that are double stranded DNA viruses. Now you can see here, this is a picture of bacteriophage virus. Okay, this is sheath, this is head, this is collar. Okay, so this is the structure of bacteriophage. This can be asked in exam. Tail fibers are there for attachment. Okay, I am finding the picture. Okay, so this is bacteriophage virus. Okay, these are the tails, you can see here, attachment. Tails are for the attachment and this is the head. Okay, so this is about virus, this is virus and this is the bacterial cell. Okay, now okay, the protein coat is called as capsid. Okay, जो वायरस का जो प्रोटीन कोट है उसको कैप्सिड बोलते हैं. मेड ऑफ द स्मॉल सब यूनिट कॉल्ड एज कैप्सोमियर. कैप्सिड इज मेड अप ऑफ कैप्सोमियर्स एंड दैट प्रोटेक्ट्स द न्यूक्लिक एसिड इन द वायरसेस. ओके, न्यूक्लिक एसिड जो होता है वायरस के अंदर उसको प्रोटेक्शन देता है बिकॉज दिस इज आउटर लेयर. नाउ दिस कैप्सोमियर आर अरेंज इन द हेलिकल और पॉलीहेड्रल जियोमेट्रिक फॉर्म. कैप्सोमियर का अरेंजमेंट कैसा होता है वो यहाँ पर लिखा है. हेलिकल भी हो सकता है, पॉलीहेड्रल भी हो सकता है. ओके, एंड वायरसेस कोज द डिसीज लाइक द मम्स, स्मॉल पॉक्स, हर्पेस एंड इन्फ्लुएंजा एंड कोविड लेटेस्ट. Okay, so these are the some examples of disease infected by the viruses. Okay, now AIDS also is a virus and humans is also caused by the virus. In plants the symptoms can be the mosaic formation, leaf rolling, curling, yellowing and wing clearing, dwarfing, stunted growth. So these are the some symptoms in the plants. Okay, and here you can see in this picture. Okay, this is human infected by flu virus or common cold and this is plant infected by a particular plant virus. Okay, leaf rolling is there. So here is the leaf rolling example. Now viroids. Now what you mean by viroids? So in 1971 Theo Diner discovered a new infectious agent that was the smaller than viruses. Okay, you can imagine the viruses are smaller than bacteria but this is viroids. Viroids is the smaller than viruses, so very small we can say, and cause the potato spindle tuber disease. Okay, so viroids is to be found in potato spindle tuber disease. It was found to be free RNA is there. It lack the protein. Okay, here protein coat is no there in their structure and that is found in viruses. Okay, like, but hence the name is called as viroid. The RNA of viroid was the low molecular weight. यहाँ पर जो विरोड का आरएनए होगा जेनेटिक मटेरियल दैट वाज लो मोलेकुलर वेट. मोलेकुलर वेट इज वेरी लो. Now a modern medicine, in modern medicine, certain infectious neurological diseases were found to be the transmitted by an agent consisting of abnormally folded protein. Okay, so this is the prions. Okay, so now neurological diseases meaning the disease occur in the our nervous system, that affects our nervous system. So they are transmitted by the agent consisting of the abnormally folded protein. Okay, abnormally folded protein, this is important. So this is called as prions. This agent was similar in size to the viruses. इनका जो साइज है वो वायरसेस जैसा ही होता है. These agents were called as prions. Okay, this agent folded protein called as prions. The most notable disease caused by the prion are bovine spongiform encephalopathy, BSE. This is the disease caused by the prions. Okay, you have to remember this thing. Okay, can be asked in exam. This is important point. Okay, so this disease, okay, spongiform encephalopathy, BSE, commonly called as mad cow disease in cattle. Okay, in cattle, and its analogous variant is CR Jacob disease is called as CJD in the humans. Okay, humans के अंदर भी जो प्रायंस है वो अफेक्ट कैसे करते हैं? By the CJD disease, CR Jacob disease. Now our last topic of this chapter is lichens. Okay, so now lichens are the symbiotic association, for example the combination of algae and fungi. So mutually the useful association between the algae and fungi. Okay, symbiotic मतलब वो एक दूसरे को हेल्प करेंगे, ऐसा एसोसिएशन है. algae and fungi, algae fungi को हेल्प करेगी, fungi algae को हेल्प करेगी, and they will grow together. Now this is called as lichens. So the algal component is known as phycobiont and the fungal component is called as mycobiont. Okay, so myco is related to fungi and phyco is related to algae. That's why the algae component जो है lichens का उसको बोलेंगे phycobiont, एंड जो फंजाई वाला जो कंपोनेंट है लाइकेन का उसको हम बोलेंगे माइकोबायोट. विच आर द ऑटोट्रॉपिक एंड हेटेरोट्रॉपिक रिस्पेक्टिवली. ओके, सो फाइकोबायोट, एज वी नो, algae are autotrophic nature and fungi are the heterotrophic. Okay, so this is very IMP. So algae will prepare the food for fungi and fungi provide the shelter and absorb the mineral nutrients and water for its partner. Okay, ये दोनों देखो आपस में कैसे काम कर रहे हैं, वर्क टुगेदर. algae will prepare the food and fungi will absorb the water, nutrition, etc. for the algae. Okay, so this is the symbiotic relationship between the algae and fungi. So close is their association that if one saw a lichen in a nature, one would never imagine that they had the two different organisms within them. Okay, so if this is very beautiful association, we can say one would never imagine that they had two different organisms because वो दोनों एक ही हैं. Okay, that's why. So lichens are the very good pollination indicators because they do not grow in the polluted areas. Okay, आप घमंड देख रहे हो इनका, पॉल्यूशन जहाँ होगा वहाँ पर ये ग्रो नहीं करेंगे. That's why they are the pollination indicator, meaning जहाँ पर lichens है हम बोल सकते हैं कि वहाँ पर कोई पॉल्यूशन नहीं है, बिकॉज पॉल्यूशन होगा तो वहाँ lichens होंगे ही नहीं. Okay, so they are the pollution indicators. Okay, so guys, here our chapter is finished. Thank you guys. Jai Swaminarayan.